It's several days away from Christmas. The holidays are upon us, but it doesn't mean that we get to slack off because there's a lot of work that has been done. There's a lot more work to be done. And let's get started. This is webinar 436. Holy crap, we're really getting up there. It's awesome. What are today's topics going to be? A little bit of fun, a little bit of craziness, a little bit of aha. First off, we're going to talk about the new Signal Spreadsheet. Yummy. Boy, does it work like a charm. It's exactly like we wanted. It was very powerful. And we'll explain what that is here in just a minute. I will talk about DexTrader Phase 1 Beta. Yes, it is finally here. I know, trials and tribulations, building anything out. We used to have this saying in the military where if you're trying to get into a mentality of building yourself, more is not always more, right? So, and fast is not always better. It's okay. Slow is steady, steady is fast. Okay, so that's where slow is smooth. That's the big one. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. Depends on what part of the branch of the military you're in. Does that saying comply to you? Now, what this means is we build out this entire process with a real simple thought pattern, is that we want to build this system so not just for today, but for all the systems that we're going to be building upon it later on. When we first built Dex Signals and the whole process, it was really about building a quick system to get into your hands so you could start using and start training on and start working with. But what we hadn't relied on was the extreme popular success that we've had and that load that goes onto those servers. And we'll explain what that is here in just a second. So the DexTrader phase is being released today, actually, and we'll actually be opening up to the general public by tomorrow morning. So that's very exciting. And then we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, data charts and a-holes. Yeah. Oh my, right? And you'll find out what that means here in just a minute. But also you will talk about the final thoughts for today as well. So let's get started. Before we do, it's all about the risk. It's all about results may vary. Educational trade assistance only. Take that, lawyers. Okay, the new Signal Spreadsheet. Okay, before I show you what it is, and some of you already know what it is and see it inside there, I got to explain a few things. First off, different codes, right? The previous system was utilized by having if this was a web page, having our signal system, okay, with all the signals and the columns and everything else, right, is a poor rendition of it. But on the actual page that it was written, that it was built on, that's the server that it was on, if this was the server page, right, the calculations were happening on this page. So when a new person would come here, one person coming to it, it would recalculate once every minute, so 60 times an hour. Okay, so if somebody was on that chart for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, or God even leaves it on all night, it would calculate so many times in a row. That was for just one person. So now imagine having 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and the 1,000+ people a day we have on it. So what was happening was that all those calculations were equaling server time, okay, and server speed. So as some of you seen a couple of weeks ago, we started to show where it said no data. And this is like the death of data at that point, where there are no trades available, right? So we started to get very nervous about this process. So we had to make some decisions. Phase 1 beta release of DexTrader wasn't supposed to have a new signal sheet being done, but we had to sort of shift gears just a little bit to make a new signal sheet. So now what happens is that system is set into two main parts, right? There's actually 3 or 4 other parts, but we have a display system, okay, which we just send over the data from our calculation network, right? This is DPC, this data processing center, and of course our signal processing center, right, or SPC. And the signal processing center sends the data that's already calculated to the page. And then this page only talks to this page whenever it just needs more information, which is only when there's something new. So the real power here is that you can get a ton of people on this site here, and it doesn't affect the calculation of the service here. So we're very proud of this system. Why is that? Because, as I explain here, the foundation of it being made okay, the way we have it now means that with a more solid foundation here, we can add more things on now. We can add the data processing center that we have over for DexTrader. That was poor. Data process center, okay? And on this, we can add more calculations, right? So, maybe we want to know about more time framing and other things like that. And so therefore, it doesn't overload the main calculation page. It only has to go on the server, which is very powerful. We can also add other display features of this data that comes off. So now we can have it in tab form, okay? We can make a phone app. All right, there's a whole bunch of things that we can do with that information now. The other good thing here is that the amount of calculations that we were doing, we have easier sorting and filters now that you can better gather information just even on Dex signals. And of course, with all the other usages for the DPC, the data processing center, and other services we have. We can also now add on to the calculation server, a news portal retraction system, which means that as the signals are being calculated and produced, you could have a second version. Okay, so without news and with news. And why is this important? Can anybody tell me inside the room, why would we want to have a system that's released with news and one that's released without news? Can anybody tell me in there? I know you probably guys weren't thinking that you were going to be participating today, so I do apologize. But I want to see what sort of the nature of the room is, of the people that are in the room. There's some very powerful people in there today. News traders, absolutely. Paul got it. Dan got it. Rich is probably going to get it here in a second. News can cause vitality, yes, but it can also it gives us data, and that's the big answer, is data, right? And data works very well, especially when you apply it to filtering systems of our signal network. What would be the best, right? So let's just say a piece of news comes out. Let's just talk about maybe not the biggest piece of news, NFP, right? But what if the NFP, right? The non-farm payroll. That's a big one. Any of the other ones, oil reserve releases, housing, employment, whatever, right? Whatever releases the thing, we can now see how our signals affected when those systems come out. And if we add the proper news retraction system in there, we can now know at what amounts that news affects our signals when it's released at certain amounts. And it can almost give you, at that point, especially for things that are more longer term, like the daily signals, how does it affect the daily signal overall when they come out at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and how will it affect? There's no end to the data and the delivery of the calculation that we can do now. There's no end to it. Because we built that calculational server, now we can start adding on other filters and features to this process that will allow us to calculate our own strategy network from dailies to intradays. Okay? And how they're affected at certain times a day, and how they're affected at certain sessions. So as we're building this out, there's more and more information that's being supplied to us from all different levels, right? Also, the calculational server and even the news, because we're kind of branching away here just a little bit, but that calculational server can also be used to filter in data, because remember, this new Signal spreadsheet, just here's what happens. And I'll show you this as an broader overview, right? Okay. This is the signal processor, this is the calculational processor, and this is the display processor, right? So what happens? Signals come into here and they're calculated, right? They're then also delivered out as a signal to like Twitter and some of our other notificational stuff. And then they go from the calculation and get sent to display, right? So now any new signal that we add can just simply go straight into here and then be delivered out wherever we want, whatever display we want to have, as well as other features, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, right? And you heard me say it. I did say Facebook. I said, no, it's weird, right? How can we deliver signals to Facebook? Well, it's coming. So the cool thing is that anything that we can think of from this point on, okay? So all this information is just data, right? But what else is a signal data? Well, let's say you're a trader and you're over at Dex Indicators and you have a spreadsheet of accurate trades you have done from the transaction history, like how we show you how to keep a journal. Well, we're going to have it in Dex Trader even later on that you can take your data from your transaction history, dump it into it, and have it calculated. Yeah, I know. We're very excited about that as well. But again, each one of these things takes time to build. But I want you to know where we're going and why we're doing what we're doing at this particular moment. So let's jump over and have a look at what the new system is. And let me give you a breakdown on what it is as well before we get into the next trader phase. All right, so here we are. We're on the Pro Signals page. Now, before we had dailies and intraday tabs up here, but what we have done now is sort of made it inside the system itself, okay? There is a tutorial video that gives sort of just a breakdown, just an introduction video, I should say. I will be making more easier to understand videos in the process, and I do apologize. There's a lot of stuff happening on my computer right now, and I'm freezing up here and there. But the real power here, folks, is the availability to switch back and forth with little to no effort. Okay, you see how quick that is? There's no download, there's no loading screen, there's no nothing. It's almost instantaneous, right? Now, the other cool thing is that most of you don't see it at the moment, but there's a filtering panel. And the filtering panel is right here. See, just like it was before on the other one, which was always active, it always would have to sort of take into consideration the filtering and the loading of everything else. Okay, so simply you can come in and adjust to find out what pairs you like the most. You know, you could still add in win ratios, and you can still turn the sound on and off. You can pick the direction of buys or sells or what have you. Okay, so with this, the only way to clear this information is just to reset it back to where you put it into the all position, so it has, you know, all, and there's no ramifications in here. Okay, that's the only way you can reset this, other than refreshing your screen on actual Dex Signals. Okay, on your web browser itself, you can hit refresh just like I did just right there, and it will refresh the network. Now it takes us just a quick second to load, but then there we go. Right now, we also have sorting, right? So let's just say that, you know, you have it in a certain place, but you want to see what in alphabetical order. Maybe I want to know what's the best win ratio. Okay, so if you do any of this, if you clear any of this information in, okay, if you do any of this, like if you change the direction, you want to see what the direction is on sells instead of buys in there. I mean, you could just come up here and do sell or buy. But if you already, let's say you just did Euro British Gold pound and you wanted to see what the open price direction was, or maybe I just want to see buys or sells in there, or switch back and forth, go buys to sells. So you have all the information in there. If you do any of that, you just come over here and click clear sorting, and that'll do that. And you reset everything back up here to the alls. Okay. Now, going back and forth between them too is that you can set it to Audi USD and trade back and forth, and see the filtering keeps to both the dailies and the intraday. So keep that in mind too. A little idiosyncrasy in there. We might be able to change this around, but I'm unsure if we should. So we're going to be doing some testing. All right. So for all you daily working order enthusiasts, you should be loving this, and you choke up people should be loving this format because the information is instantaneous. All right, so you can easily switch back and forth now from that process and start to work with some of your filtering in here to really start to see if it's good for choke up or not. Okay, so pretty cool. Everything else is sort of still the same. You still have those charts over there from our friends over at investing.com. There's still the new system in there, and of course, there's still the trading room in here as well. So, still all very powerful, but this solution itself is extremely powerful with the DEX Signal network, as well as what I'm going to be showing you over on DEX Trader. Okay. All right. So basically, what we have is that new Signal spreadsheet is a new addition to the process. And we will not be going back to the old way because there's no way we can, because even with the people that we have on the sites right now, we're looking to grow even further, probably 5 times more than what we have right now. And so what's going to happen over the next week? Over the next week with the Signal spreadsheet, if you have any problems, what I want you to do is try to refresh your screen. And if that doesn't work, go to a different browser. And if you absolutely have to call in or write in, make sure that you know what type of make sure you have this information ready. What browser you're using, what the issue is. Are you using PC or Mac? Be prepared for those kind of questions that are coming over, because this is in it's not in beta. It's the final production release here. But if there's ever any bugs with anything that we do, you always want to make sure you have the information ready for it. Just don't call it, oh, the system doesn't work, and we have to go search every system we have, right? So work with us with the process, and we really appreciate it. So I hope you enjoy this. This was a big crowning achievement. We worked very hard. Actually, last Friday, we were going to release it on Thursday of last week, but we wanted to wait because there was so much load on happening on the server. For us to take the one down and put a new one together would have killed Signals for 2 days. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted to be able to sort of make this over the weekend, but we ran into this thing full headboard Friday night. As soon as the market closed, we shut all the Signal stuff down and basically rebuilt all the servers from Friday night all the way into Sunday morning, and even into late last night, well, not Sunday, Monday morning, which is early this morning, almost 2 o'clock in the morning today. And I got about like 2.5 hours sleep per day with that process. But we rebuilt all that function in a very slow and methodically to make sure that we got it right. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you appreciate the staff and everybody else who's really worked hard to make this happen for all of you, because I definitely sure do. All right, let's get moving. All right, the DEX Trader Phase 1 Beta, Boo and the Ya. I want to go show you I want to go show you this process, and we're going to go have a look at it. But before I do, I need you to know one thing, okay? The DEX Signals network is very powerful and has a lot of potential. The data processing center that we built for this system for DEX Trader, we had toyed with the idea in the very beginning, should we release the DPC for DEX Signals people? And the answer is no. And we originally thought we were going to, but we decided against it, only because it is a very powerful module, and it really does need to be used by those people that can sort of take that to the next level with it. And the DEX Trader network, even though that it is about simplicity, it is still about the most effective part about the tools. And I think that's going to drive a tremendous amount of people to the system for that. And that data is very important to people when in that system. So it is something that took us a long time to build and really work on, and has the foundations to build it out to the things that I was telling you guys about earlier, with adding other people's information and your spreadsheets and things like that. So I do think it's well worth to keep it on the DEX Trader platform and not have it on anything else. Secondly, that the first phase of DEX Trader is really a glorified, overpowered version of DEX Signals. The real power for DEX Trader comes in phase 2 and 3. Phase 2, which we'll explain here some of the nuances that's happened, is really about the charts and custom indicators, and we'll discuss that in one of the other series here today. But let's go over and just have a quick look. I know this is DEX Signals webinar, and we want to talk about that here, but I want you to see, because some of you that are DEX Signals right now are also getting DEX Trader, so this is more so for you guys. But bear with us so we can show you here in just a second. Here we go. All right, so the DexTrader platform launching now. It'll be up to DexTrader 2.0. This is beta 1 release, and again, look at the familiarity of this to Dex Signals is of course there, right? And we have the intraday signals and daily signals, okay? And then of course it starts to alter once we get to the DPC tab. And this DPC tab, this data processing center, really starts to break things down. And this is where you get the lifetime of the daily signal up to the year, to the month, how well it's doing, weekly, what is overall all the signal strength, 85, 85. So really powerful. Because this week's is still short, so bear with us. But the best assets, it'll tell you the best assets. And of course, once you get down to where the real power starts to happen is in per each one of these on a daily and intraday level. What's the best session? What's the best hour it trades at? What's the pip average? This is a huge one for all you choke up artists. This is a huge one, even on the intraday, okay, compared to the daily. At daily, it's 20 pip differences. On the intraday, it could be 4 or 5 or 10 or what have you, but you'll be able to average this out. And we're going to show you how to use all this in DexTrader and why you would use some of this stuff, right? Keeping in mind that even in a worst hour of 86%, it's still a pretty good option to be able to utilize. But you can go back to the main page, of course, and then you could check out each and every one of these as a signal comes out. You can quickly, like you can be on the intraday, go to the British Gold Pound USD and say, okay, let's go to the British Gold Pound. Oh, I was just on it. I can come to here and say, all right, this seems like to be a pretty good session to be trading on. The best hour, the best session is New York. So we got a pretty good chance of 96.3% success. All right. And then it's got a 54 pip average, overall. So this looks like something pretty good to be able to trade with. Be able to trade with at this at 54 pips. I mean, that was on a daily, of course. So you got to make sure that it's on the intraday if you're looking at intraday. But see, so there again, you're at 18.8 pips and an average of this thing when it closes out. For the week so far, since today's still the first week, it's still at 100%. So what is it doing for the week so far up to the month and that kind of stuff? So really still pretty powerful. And even on the availability to sort of spread this thing out as well, you can easily come in and just go British Gold Pound. How did it work out for the last week? What do the sales look like from this process here? So you can stretch this in even more with some filtering. You see? So we know that the British Gold Pound USD has a pip ratio or pip range of 5 pips per each one on the intradays. We know that if we do have to do a choke up at 5 pips each, the parameter is that most of them, you can come up 1 pip. You see you got a couple of, you have a couple of losses in here and you have a couple below 5 pips, of course. So you got to kind of keep that in margin. But it could be something that you don't do a choke up on intradays and just do choke ups on dailies. And that's where the real power is you as a trader gets to really figure that part out. All right. So the next part is, of course, is our charts. Now, this charting system that you see in here, and it's a little skewed because I've shortened it a little bit, and I got to fix this here because it's coming to release here. But this chart is temporary. That's in here, and I'll explain why in here in just a moment. Also, we have a temporary news system in here from our investing.com friends. We'll probably always use these guys. These guys are Forex Factory, and we might have an option to flip between the two within that series, because some of you like to use Forex Factory, some of you like to use investing.com, and I want to make sure you both have opportunity in there. But the charting system will be very powerful as far as it'll be web-based, it'll be expandable, it'll be savable in the second release that we're doing. And we'll explain why we've had some nuances with this or some issues with the system that we're using here. And I'll explain to you in that next series of what's happening. So this is basically it for now. There'll be some very powerful training on side. There'll be a lot of consults. There'll be a lot of webinars happening for DexTrader as well. That'll help lead people in. And plus there will be a chat room also on board the system as well. There are going to be some design changes to the website, but pretty much everything will still be sort of the same that you see it in the direction it is right now. Data charts and a-holes, oh my. And yeah, the title does say it all. A couple of weeks ago, and you guys know that we're very transparent, right? That we don't like keeping things in secret and in the closet of anything, because that shit comes back and bites you in the ass. And even if I get into trouble out there in the world and people know what we're doing, you know what, and they can head us off at the pass at certain things, then God bless them. Because if they're trying to do what I think they're trying to do, um, they're not going to succeed, because we've become this force to be reckoned with within this industry because of our transparency. And it's almost like they're kicking puppies now, and it's very frustrating to me. And I'm taking the brunt of a lot of this, but most of you have to, all of you have to know that we're doing all of this, not just, I'm not doing this for just me to make money. And of course, am I doing it for make money? Absolutely yes, because this is my career now, right? I'm no longer in radio. I'm no longer building out a radio network at this time. So this is it. And in order for me to make it for myself good, I need to make it for a lot of other people as well. And what's been happening here, when we first started, we needed to have a data. Ooh, that's crazy. We needed to have a data system, right? The charts, right? The charts that you see just about anywhere you go, right, need a data feed to exist, right? And this data feed, when it comes to like things like indices and commodities and things like that, it's all regulated stuff. It all has to be a very powerful uh, security and regulation, and all that has to happen to indices and commodities and everything else. But we're not using indices and commodities at this time. We're only using Forex, right? And if we're only using Forex, Forex has a a little bit different process on how it supplies its data feed, right? Because it's made up of many different options and information. It still has to be accurate. It still has to be real. Can't be pig fed, or can't be fed into a process of being fake information. The companies that deliver this have to have a regulation and have to be a real company. If not, they can be cited. They can be fined. People can come after them. So when we first started looking, because we wanted to build um, our charts, okay, because listen, one of the most powerful things for DexTrader, for anything that we're building, is to have a web-based chart, right? We wanted to have a web-based chart because MetaTrader 4 is very good, but it's a pain in the ass for most people. Okay, most people don't want to download it. Most people don't want to sit in front of that web-based program on their home computer. They want to have it in a tablet. Or, and I'm telling you right now, you're not going to be, if you're going to trade, you can't be using a web-based chart on your phone. You're not going to be able to see anything. And let's be real, okay? That's just some sort of pipe dream, okay? But having it on a tablet, you might be able to cut that in, right? But for the most part, having this charting system is very powerful as well. Not only because we can create a web-based platform, but we can also create custom indicators as well for it. Now, there's only one company out there, and I won't name any company names at the moment because this is a live feature and this is a public event in here, and I'm not about to cause wars, okay, even though that they've started to fire across my bow pretty strongly. But the data companies that we went after first began with an open mind. And they gave us the availability to have as much data as we wanted while we were building the program. And we built the program, the first data chart system, on top of this data. But the data that was being supplied was only good for the chart program that we were using. So when we started that, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the data company came back and was like, yeah, you got to pay us now $4,500 a month. Where before it was something like 75 or something like that a month. Right? Isn't this disgusting? And the only reason they did this was because as we built the data in and I was showing them the declaration of the process, they immediately saw what? Opportunity. And what happened? Greed snuck its little freaking head in there. And this is what's happened, right? And even though the charts would fail without proper data, it didn't matter to them. So we went and tried to find other data companies. And this time, I wanted to head them off at the pass. I asked a particular company, I said, listen, there is a process we're building. Here's what we're doing. And I told them step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we got all the way down to the ultimate super Uber program. And they told us not a problem, not a problem. So we started a relationship with them and they gave us an amount and we were putting that amount in and everything was going great until we got here and we were releasing the information to them. And then what happened? Price went up. Restrictions went up. Everything went up on. And so as I contacted him and said, listen, you told me that this wouldn't happen. And the one gentleman that I was talking to, very high up official in this company, said to me, these things have to change because we didn't realize how big it was and how well you were doing. We looked at DEX signals, we looked at DEX trader, we looked at DEX indicators. We've seen how fast DEX indicators grew. So we're kind of worried that this is going to grow beyond, and we're going to be giving you these smaller prices and all this extra, bullshit, a-hole move. That's all it came down to. I was transparent, I was honest, I was upfront. And what really bugs the crap out of me is that no matter how hard I tried to make these people understand, it still all came back down to, no, we need to have more money from this because it's going to cost us more money to do it. The data doesn't cost them more money with us. Why? Because the individuals never use the data. Like you as an individual won't be using the data. Why? Because just like we built the signals, we built a data housing center. Okay. So the data comes into here and this calculates the data and displays it here. So only one user face ever uses the data. And I tried to explain this to them. And you'll have a delay in time. Yes, have a delay in time. You know what that delay in time is? Yeah, 1 second. Maybe if there's a tremendous amount of people on the network. 2-second delay from this server to this server with display information. That's it. 1 second. So with that said, their excuses led me down one pathway. And what do you think that pathway was? Well, we had to find a way to compile the data, to get the data itself. And then we made our own system. I know, corny, right? DEX data. But listen, this isn't a system that we're going to put out there for sale. There's no company out there that's going to have DEX data besides us. And the reason why I don't want anybody else to have DEX data is because I don't want to be bothered with all that other stuff out there, other systems being made, other companies being a part of that rat race of little binary companies that want their, because we thought that we might want to be able to do this, but then there's all those overseas binary companies that are looking for inexpensive, cheap data and people that want to house and work with them. And we don't want to work with any of them, right? We're only going to use this for ourselves, just our own system. So DEX data is what's going to be supplying the chart system that we had with a company that was very powerful, right? Until chart a-holes started showing up. And they exist. There's these charts. There's a chart company out there, and they pride themselves on this universal sharing method, right? And it's called an open source project to a degree, okay? And it's not fully open source, because even though they say it's open source, it's not really open source, because at any time they could deny you access to these source code chart libraries, okay? Because these charts all rely on a library of sorts on how they're designed. So what happened? Once again, we built out the first platform of it, of Dex Trader, okay, using a chart software that you see in there right now, okay, right? You had all the little charts happening, and you had all the little tools and all the little, just everything that we needed in there. And the other thing about this particular chart software is that we could have made custom indicators to it. I'm very proud of that because I have staff on now that, can build into this particular type of language, and it was all really powerful until, and this is the crazy part, right? I have meetings this morning with the charting company because for some reason over the weekend our charting system isn't giving us access to the system anymore as of Friday, and we needed this for the first phase release, and it wasn't giving us the information, and all of our data was being bounced back to the main server. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get this nice little email and making a meeting to talk, and the chart company says, listen, here's what we need to do. We want to have a deposit of about 10K because the charting system is very powerful for you, and we want to be able to charge it. We want to have a deposit of 10K. Well, if the relationship ever dies, we'll return the 10K. It's refundable. Blah 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 blah. BS 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 BS. A-hole move. A-hole move. That's all this is. And the other thing that they wanted to do was they didn't want to charge me a monthly fee. Okay, so they didn't go completely a-hole-ish, but they went enough to say they wanted a 10K deposit, and this is like good faith bond or whatever they call it, right? And they wanted all the members of our company, in order to use the chart, to sign up for their membership packages. So they weren't going to charge me a monthly fee. They wanted the members to show up to charge them $29 to $59.99 a month. And as it states, yeah, no. Now, why wouldn't I, right? Because if it's really great charting system, why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we just absorb the cost into it and pay the 29 bucks? Can anybody tell me that in the room? Can anybody tell me why at this particular time in the game, when they've changed the way they do business in order to get more of this, why would I trust to get into business with them and them not change it later on? Because now they could come back and say, yeah, now it's $49.99 a month, or $69.99 a month, or $129.99 a month. Yeah. What changes come next, Jim says. That's right. They won't keep their word. That's right, Rich. And this is what sucks about this. Remember, I've said this a couple of times in some of my webinars, okay? And Michael knows this, and a handful of other people know this. But this industry freaking sucks. The people in this industry are nothing. Now, granted, there are some good people out there, but this industry freaking sucks and is riddled with some people that lie, cheat, manipulate, play the shell game, fake you out. And us as individuals, and even some of you that are in this room, and please bear with me, I'm not trying to be critical on you. You have been beaten back with this type of industry, and you ask questions, you get punched in the face from all these other companies. You come here and you ask the same questions, the same virility, and it's frustrating to me, but I also have to know that you're asking it in this fashion, and I don't blame you. I really don't. If you're mad when you come here, if you're suspect when you come here, if you don't know my intention when you come here or any of the other staff's intention when you come here, I don't blame you for being upset. In fact, I don't blame you for coming here kind of kicking the tires around and splitting. I don't blame you. I ask you to do your due diligence. That's why we gave the system for free. We give the training in there for free so you can see who we are. So we're trying to do our best. And that's why I hold these webinars the way I do. I tell you the real stuff that is happening. Because I don't want you to be a victim of this bullshit anymore. I want you to be empowered Every single one of you that is in the room. Is there anybody in that room that's not paying to be here or have paid to be here? Every single one of you is paid to be here at one point or another. Some of you might be comp systems, but you're paying with your time, you're paying with your efforts, you're paying with your blood, sweat, and tears to be here, like I am. Then you're an investor in this company. This company is yours. The results, you'll either get financial return from it if you're one of the people like Michael and Thor and Paul and Amy and Brian, or you'll be able to use the tools at such a rate at so much less than everybody else, whatever your deal is here, or you'll just be able to use the tools all in general and get the experience that we get, that you don't have to suffer through, that you don't have to pay tens and tens of thousands of dollars for. That's what it's here for. So what does this all equal to? Well, the data a-holes equals into us building DEX data being born. And the chart a-holes equals to the DEX charts being born. And yes, we are building our very own charting platform fed by our own data system. DEX charting will be a thing. Now, not a thing that will be released to the general public to be DEX charting, but it will be the charting system on the DEX Trader network. And it'll have all little bugs and issues and bells and whistles on it that nobody will be able to use but the people in DEX Trader. Because I will not be held victim to this industry's bullshit and a-hole moves that it does at every level. And I am telling you right now, I'm seeing it at every level. Brokers, exchanges, banks, insurance companies, everybody who's attached to this network, to this industry in a way. Now, what I need from you is your patience, is your passion to want to help us make this work, because we can create, all together we can do this. I can't do it alone, and I can't do it with just Brian and Amy. Okay, I need all of you, and I need more of you. We need to build this industry and not change it all. We don't need to change the entire industry, folks. We just need to change the circle we're all in. And we need to create such a crust on this company that we will protect anybody that comes into it with information and passion and sincerity and transparency to help trade, to teach the best methods possible. Every single one of you that is in there trading and providing us a journal is providing us information and what? Data, right? Learning. People that are using the learning system that doesn't get something, or you can't find something, or something doesn't work, we hear about it and we fix it, we figure it out, we put it into a new training system. You understand? So every single one of you becomes a part of building this company stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And the more that we keep bouncing off all these little asshole move companies, and the more we keep building DEX systems in here to keep building this stronger and stronger and stronger, the more our success will become. And that doesn't come easy. So what's going to happen? The DEX Trader system itself is in beta 1, just like I was showing you. Okay, so this is beta phase 1. Now, this will be able to be used. So some of you are going to go over today and tomorrow. I'm going to be putting out emails to the seniors to get access to. But bear with me. It's been a long couple of nights. So I'm trying to get this out before the end of the day. But if not, it'll be first thing tomorrow. But you'll come in and you'll test out. Just make sure everything works. The charts work, blah, blah, blah. You know, everything's there, right? The signal system's there. Everything's there. Okay. So with that, once all that stuff has been tested, we'll then be able to then open this up to the general public, and it'll be in final release for phase 1. Phase 2 is happening right now, but originally we weren't going to have to rebuild our entire establishment of our chart. We already had a charting system. It was already sort of going to be released with phase 1, and we were just going to have to build the custom indicators for phase 2. But now we have to remodel this entire charting system now to make our own charting system. So phase 2 is going to happen with the DEX charts and the DEX custom indicators attached to it. And this is going to release in 2 weeks, right? Now, this 2-week margin might happen. It's roughly around January 5th, we're looking at for this to be able to release. This is difficult. I've always, like Paul says in there, if they tell you it's impossible, then you just have to build it. And they've always done this. This industry is always, anything that we've ever done that we've run up against an obstacle with, we've had to find ways to build it. Because our dreams are big, our wants are large, the results have to be real. We can't play games. We can't give in to this bullshit. We have to fight every single day. And every one of you that are in that room has been a part of that fight from the beginning. All right, final thoughts. So the next 2 weeks, okay, we're going to be building out DexTrader. At the meantime, okay, I have to be really involved with that process now because we do have one other programmer that is in there doing some things, but I put this on my Facebook the other day. It's difficult to find programmers that wants to have they love the challenge, right? They're like, oh yeah, I can get in there, I can make it happen. But as soon as it becomes a chore, most traders skip the beat. As soon as it becomes about them, okay, that it's more about the honeymoon phase, I guess they can call it, right? It goes away. And most people are like that. They get the money, they don't get the money, they don't get the recognition or they find it too challenging and they want to disappear because they don't want to take a hit to their credit, right? I get it. I understand. Still doesn't make it easy. So for the next 2 weeks, we're doing the slow, smooth technique of getting this out. That's why we said 2 weeks. Could we have it done in a week? Yes. Could we have it done for Christmas? Possibly, if we all burn the midnight oil and I got cafe injections into my arm or something, we could possibly do it. But this has to be right. This has to be perfect because it can't fail. There's too much riding on it, especially with the charts. Okay. Dex Indicators is having some things that we're going to be discussing tonight at 7 p.m. on that we're going to be working with and we're going to be discussing. So if you're also a trader from there, great. I mean, if we had 10, 20, $30,000 to throw at marketing or not marketing, but in development right at the moment, we would. Okay. But we're building this very slow with the monies that are coming in from the company. And most of us are not taking, money from that process to build these things. Right? Dr. B says, do it right the first time. And the answer is correct. Right? Absolutely. The journal that you are keeping, if you're a Dex Signals person, keep a journal because sometimes you'll get into signals that work that don't work for you, so you can track that. If you're an indicator person, keep a journal. Keep a journal of your trades like we show you to keep a journal in there and share it with us. We're going to be doing this Journal is Life section delivery thing where we're going to be sharing some of these journals that are going to be online. And it's a little bit weird, but I'll end up showing you over the next couple of days what this is going to look like and why it is so important is because other people need to know that you're doing it. Other people need to know and see your trials and tribulations, whether it's great journals or not great journals or what. Okay, I'm not talking about keeping a diary here, folks. I'm talking about keeping a trading journal. Okay. Because what's going to happen is that emulation that you're going to see coming from that is that other people are going to start doing what you do. A perfect example, Ken Wright keeps one hell of a proficient journal. Other people started to copy the way he did it. And they started to see the pattern of how he traded. I can only teach you to a certain level. I can teach you how to swing the hammer, but you have to know how much force to use and how much guidance to use so you don't knock your own fingers off or punch yourself in the face with it. And other people will pick that up as well by seeing the actions that you commit to as well. They expect it from me, and people try to emulate me trading. They have an excuse network. Oh, that's Max. He does really well because he's a master trader, right? So I want them to be able to see this with you. Journals that we have with us is life to this network. Life. It's the blood inside the system. The signals are the heart, whatever analogy you want to use, but the journals that we have. If you're not keeping a journal with us, then how are you to know how well you are doing, that you're alive with this program? Okay, not by the balance that's in your account. Please, 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 I hope that's not it. There's no accuracy there. So now a couple Tony Robbins things, and I'm going to let you go for the night, for the day. Okay. The power within you to be able to do all of this part that you're about to do, that some of you are doing, okay, has always been there. You have to now decide if being a pro trader, being in this industry, being in this circle of people that you're with right now, is this something that is positive for you? Because none of it that we're asking you to do is requiring you to put your life on the line to a degree. But some of you feel, well, I just can't get it, or I just can't figure it out, or I'm having problems, so this can't be a good system. The power for you to be able to make anything work has to reside in you. It isn't about a program. Isn't that sick that the owner of the company is telling you it's not about the program that makes you a success? Because it's not the only thing. You need to supply the power to the program to make it work. And if you can't supply it, there's nothing I could ever give you to make it work. So the credit, where credit is due, is in you. I can only give you the tools, but you have to know how to use them and work them and put the passion behind them. Because even a ditch digger using a shovel can make a living doing something, but he has to put the power behind the shovel to make it work. So it doesn't matter what experience you have. There are things that we have that you can work with, from signals to trader to indicators. Any one of those can work for you. Now, in order for you to be able to do that, it brings me to the last thing of, and we said this once before, is being a leader of one. Most people say you make a good leader, you can lead a lot of people around. I don't lead anybody around. I lead by example. I talk to a lot of people, but for me, my success doesn't come from all of you. It comes from me personally, inside me. And I lead me first before I can lead anybody else. And I have to become a leader of one in order for me to be successful so I can preach from that level. And how do each one of you become successful is that discipline that you have to put in, that time you have to take out of your day, that time you got to tell the kids to be quiet because I'm trading, or that you have to now, make some tough decisions, that you're spending your extra hard-earned cash to keep within this system so you can learn, so you can get to that future. All those little things that all those people are throwing at you, what makes you strong is knowing that you're the leader of one. And that's it. Nothing will get you to that success faster than realizing that. That one quote right there is to be a leader of one. All right. For all of you after the fact that are watching this video after the fact, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day, knowing that if you can't make these live, that watching this afterwards, if you didn't skip all the way through and you're sitting here and listening to me right now, thank you, because it takes integrity to get through an entire video. I want to thank you for your time. I really do hope to see you inside. Everybody else, hang out inside the trader room for questions. Everybody else, take care, and I'll see you inside. See you in the next one. Trade well. I'm Max Farrow, and this is Dex.